Very big night. We have a VIP guest tonight, a VIP VP guest tonight. All the way from Washington, the Vice President of the United States is with us. Kamala Harris is here tonight. Everything is really... The Secret Service swept our building, which we desperately needed. It's filthy, by the way. And it's especially great that they're here because Guillermo's not here tonight. We are unprotected. He's on assignment at Media Day for the NBA Finals. We sent him away because, for reasons of national security, not many people know this, you're not allowed to have both of America's most powerful number twos in the same room at the same time. So we shipped him to Boston. This was a surprise. Boy, just when you think you can't possibly be surprised by anything anymore, Joe Biden, our president, got a shout-out from Donald Trump today that was actually nice.
Joe Biden's not too old to be president. I know a lot of people that are older than him, and they're at the top of their game. It's not even close.
Well, that is very big of him to say.
But he is too incompetent, and he is too corrupt. He's the worst president in the history of our country. Thank you.
You know, just when you think he's going to zig, he zigs. I can't wait until he's shooting those in the prison cafeteria. But we don't know who Vice President Harris will be debating because Donald Trump hasn't picked a running mate yet. It's between Marco Rubio, Tim Scott, Kid Rock, and a Monster Energy drink right now. One of them will run on the MAGA ticket. And it's a big deal for us when we get a visit from a politician of the vice president's caliber. Kamala Harris, not only does she have an extremely important job, she's our first female vice president. She's our first vice president of color. She broke a number of barriers. And every American should know that. But, of course, we as Americans don't know that much stuff. So in an effort to educate our country, we went out onto Hollywood Boulevard to administer the first ever VP SAT test. Enjoy.
First, before we go to Tulsa, here is a clip from a 2019 Democratic presidential debate that went viral and may have helped end Kamala Harris's 2020 campaign. Roll it.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not.
I call her Miss Lock Up a Brother, for when she was the AG in California, a Negro knew, a black man knew that he was dead in the water. He was dead in the water. Matter of fact, you don't need a trial. You might well go to jail if you appear before her because she took pride in locking up black folk.
I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed. So I learned at a very young age the power.
And now all of a sudden she's trying to be sister girl. I'm telling it. Check out her record. She locked us up left and right. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, you did, Kamala, however I should pronounce it. You did. She boasted in California that she was one of the first. I got the tape to perform a same-sex marriage. Y'all want to see it? You want to see it? Let it rip.
Let the rings exchanged and the vows declared symbolize your commitment, sincerity, and affection.
Yeah.
And may your love never falter.
May your love never falter.
by virtue of the power and authority vested in me by the state of California, I now declare you spouses for life.
I like what Maya Angelou said. She said, when the people show you who they are, believe them. That's Kamala.
You can imagine what can be, but you can't be unburdened by what has been, as old Coconut Tree would put it.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
What can be unburdened by what has been?
What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been?
You're going to mess around and go to hell.
Fantastic, fantastic. How's everybody doing? Good. Very first thing we're going to do, as always, we're going to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Are there reporters in this room somewhere? I can't see through the light. It's the mainstream media here. If you're here, I want you to hear this. Hear me. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what you do in your newsroom. I don't care about your plans and your schemes to bring this nation down with your Democratic friends. Why? Because Jesus Christ is still on the throne. You may have your news cameras and your satellites and your 24-hour news, but Jesus Christ holds the world in his hands. And he holds me in it as well. And what he has for me, you cannot keep from coming true. It may not be the governor's mansion. It may not be any political seat, but you will not stop Jesus Christ's will in my life. So I do not fear you. Write your stories, tell your lies, tell your half-truths. But Christ is still on the throne. And because he lives in my heart and I live for him, I know whatever I need to do on this earth for him, it will get done. So we give him thanks first and foremost. God, you know what the issues are. But I didn't really come here to go into details about the issues. What I really came here to do, I came here to get something started. See, because we got a problem in this country. We got a bunch of clapper-trap people that sit behind news media desks and want to talk about fake trials for President Trump. Turn the television on, they talk about first one actor and then another actor. Talking about all manners of foolishness. Talking about MAGA Republicans being the most dangerous people on earth. I don't know, I didn't see any MAGA Republicans on 9/11 blowing up buildings and airplanes. I don't think any MAGA Republicans were over in Israel murdering people. And I don't think a MAGA Republican gave them the money to be able to do it. See, we got folks in this country that don't want to talk about the substantive issues that all of us face. The things that we just talked about, that wide open border, the precarious place we find ourselves with safety and security in the world, on the world stage. They don't want to talk about your pocketbook. They don't want to talk about the fact that your children are in schools where we spend millions upon millions upon millions of dollars for those schools, and the children can't read on the grade level. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the fact that every single solitary policy that they propose and then pass yields horrible results. They don't want to talk about it. Why? Because it proves an essential truth. It proves an essential truth. What is that truth? The simple truth of the matter is this. They call us the right. We sit on the right. And we not only get called the right and call ourselves the right and sit on the right, we are right. We are right about every single solitary issue. When we say, shut that border down and deport those who are dangerous to our country, we are right. When we say, children should not be sexualized, we are right. And this nation knows it. When we say that it's your money, you earned it, you worked for it, The government should not be picking your pocket. We are right. See, we are right. Too many of us are ashamed to be right, though. Some of us, we go to work and folks start talking about politics and start standing up saying, I think Joe Biden's doing a wonderful job. And he's a nice man because that President Trump is just mean. I just don't like the things that he says. He's just mean and arrogant, and he's a bully. If I hear that one more time, I am going to go crazy. This man is fighting. Let's list the people who he's fighting. He's fighting almost the entire news media. He's fighting all the Democrats. He's fighting all the communists. He's fighting all the socialists. He's fighting all of our enemies across the ocean. And sadly, he's fighting half the Republicans. How is this man a bully? How is he a bully? You see, we hear that at work sometimes, some of us, and we're a little shy about stepping up, standing up, saying anything. People look at us and say, why are you a Republican? We say, well, you know, my mom voted Republican. I like Ronald Reagan. I think he did a great job, and I like Reagan. And so that's why I'm a Republican. We shy away from the truth. We don't want to look at that person and say, you know, well, wasn't it the Republican Party that was formed to stand up for the Republic? Not the democracy like you see splayed on the news every day. You see, them folks want a democracy. They want the mob to rule. They don't want this republic. And they don't want Republicans standing up for the republic. You're going to tell them that, yeah, wasn't it? Well, they say, well, the Republican Party is the party of old white men. It ain't coming off. And while we're on that subject, wasn't it the Republican Party that fought a war to free the slaves? How many Jim Crow laws were passed by Republicans? Wasn't it the Republicans who ended Jim Crow? Then you can take it even further and say, so you're a Democrat. Why are you a Democrat? You know the Democrats were the ones that were in favor of slavery. They were the ones in favor of the Confederacy. They were the ones that created Jim Crow. They are the ones that made the laws, and they are the ones that fought like hell to keep them until they found out a different way to enslave people. Instead of giving them welfare, instead of giving them slave shacks and shackles, they decided they were going to give them welfare checks and the ghetto. You see, there are truths that nobody wants to talk about. Not the news media, not the college professors. I'm getting excited up here, guys. Not the college professors. Nobody wants the front row. Y'all better watch out, bro. Woo! Spitting fire up here today. Y'all better watch out. Nobody wants to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it, and you should too. You should run and go tell the good news of why you're a Republican. You can take it all the way back to 1860 and bring it all the way up right now to 2020. You look at the states that are run by Republicans. Look at what Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing in Arkansas. Look at what Glenn Youngkin is doing in Virginia. Look at what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida and Greg Abbott is doing in Texas. Look at what the Republican legislature in North Carolina is doing and has done since 2010. And while we're on that subject, think about what North Carolina will do when Mark Robinson is the Republican governor. You see, there's a truth that's got to be told. Unfortunately, no one will tell it if you don't. No one will be bold enough to tell it if you're not. I speak about this all the time, and when I do, I try to do it without shedding tears, but it's hard for me to do it. Tell my wife I have two great dreams. One great dream exists on this side of the earth. The other dream exists on the other side. Dream on the other side is very dear to me. And people think that I hate people. I don't hate people. I hate actions. I hate actions that take advantage of people, destroy people's lives, and destroy and wreck nations. I hate the actions. I don't hate the people. One of my greatest dreams as a Christian is this. And I take it to heart, and when I say it, I mean it. You know, they tell me that when I die, if I do what God says on earth, that He has reserved a mansion for me with many rooms. Think about that room that He may reserve for me. And I think about myself in it. And if that place is like anything like down here on earth, maybe people would come and visit me. You know who I want to come and visit me? Of course, I'd love to see the heroes of the faith come. My mother, my family, those that I love. But you know who else I want to see? I want to look out my window down in my driveway and see Nancy Pelosi come walking up. I'm serious. I want to see Joe Biden come walking up. I do. I do. I want to look down there and see my opponent, Josh Stein, come walking up. I want to look down there and see everybody who opposed me on earth, who called me an enemy on earth. I want to see them come walking up that driveway. You know why? Because it means they made it. Because they made it. Now, I don't want my opponent to make it to the governor's mansion, but I sure wouldn't mind if he made it to heaven. Because I don't hate anybody. Now, I want to see every single solitary person on this earth. I want to see their souls saved. Every single solitary person. And each and every one of us that calls ourselves a Christian should pray vehemently for their souls, that we would see them in heaven and forget about all this when we get up there. My second dream is this, and it's down here on earth. One day, years from now you look at them old photographs and you can tell what year they were taken. I want an old photograph of me sitting up on somebody's shelf in a home somewhere. I don't know where it may be. Could be here, some other place. And I want somebody to pull that photograph down and look at it and say, who is this man? And I want one of my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, right here in the United States of America, to take that picture and hold it up over their head and say, this is my grandfather. And I live in freedom today because he was man enough to stand up and give me the same kind of freedom that he grew up in. To me, that would be the single greatest honor on this earth. Now, I sincerely hope that each and every one of you would want to have that honor as well. Now, before I leave you, I want to leave you with this. Who are we as Republicans? Who are we as conservatives? Who are we as patriots? Who are we as MAGA Republicans? I boil it all down to this. Earlier this month, we celebrate what I call America's St. Crispin's Day. D-Day, June the 6th, 1944. The spirit of MAGA, the spirit of us, the spirit of the American patriot is embodied in those boys, in those boats. It lives inside of the hearts of each and every person in this room. It lives inside of the people who go back home and get politically active and are bound and determined to change the circumstances of their cities and their state and their nation. It exists in those moms who had the unmitigated gall, according to some, to go down to the school board and demand that their children not be sexualized. It lives in the heart of every patriot who decides to put their name on the dotted line and serve in office. It exists inside of Americans who love this nation. The heart of the boys in those boats on that day is literally the epitome of America. When times get tough for us, when you get scared, when you get nervous, when you think you can't win, think about them boys in them boats. Think about them bullets hitting that door. Think about the fact when that door opened, they didn't run to the back, they ran out that door. Bullets be damned, death be damned. I'm here to save my country. You think about them, you remember them, and you remember their sacrifice was not in vain because it lives in you, and it lives in me, and it lives in all of us. Let's let that energize us to save this nation one more time. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
President Obama's transition team. I was getting off a plane one day. Assistant called and said, Steve, it's President Obama's transition team. President Obama and I were friends. I've interviewed him. He's been on my talk show. I've been to the White House and interviewed him. He's been on my radio show more than anybody's show. I go to their parties. We friends. So his transition team called me around the 9th of January and said, Steve, the president feels like it's important that we sit down and have a conversation with this new administration to see if there's something we can work out. Not President Obama, just his transition team from the White House. I said, okay, cool. Next thing I know, the Trump administration transition team gets in touch with the Obama transition team. My name come up. So on January 13th, they asked me to come to Trump Towers to meet with Donald Trump. Now, the hell I caught the sheer misery for making that decision. I've been so many coons, Uncle Tom, sellouts. I was stunned. I mean, the brutality of what happened to me on social media behind visiting that man in Trump Towers, it was alarming. But I'm sitting up in here and I'm trying to figure out, because you don't know, so since you don't know, here come the hate. Uncle Tom, sellout, Coon, Steve Harvey, shoe shiner, celebrity friends I thought I was really cool with, coming out talking about he ought to know better. What the hell wrong with him? Whoa, 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 whoa. If President Obama, the current president, and the incoming president say they want to talk to you, which one of you ain't going up there? Just raise your hand if you wouldn't go, so I can see how stupid you are. Now just go ahead. I just want to see. This is what I be really wanting to say. See, I can't say none of this in front of another group, but since it's us in here, oh, I've been wanting to say this since January 13th. You better believe this right here. I've been waiting on the right crowd. Well, I'm in front of a bunch of friends right now. So see, I can say this because I'm around a bunch of friends. You understand? Friendship is essential to the soul. You can live without your father. You can live without a relative. You can make it without your mama. You can't live in this world without a friend. Friendship is essential to the soul. Oh, Philly filii supas. That's friendship is essential to the soul. Yeah, I've been waiting on this. I'm glad Ricky Lewis asked me to come. So I go up there. President Trump did not know why I was there, but he was accommodating. I'm going to give the man this. The man was very congenial. As we said that, we talked about golf. I played golf at his golf courses a lot. I don't play well, but I play. We talked about that. He's really congenial. And we're sitting there, and he thought that since we shared a common friend, Mark Burnett produced Apprentice, and Mark Burnett produces my new show, Steve Harvey's Thunderdome, that I was there to talk about possibly doing some type of program. I said, no, sir, I'm not. So it got around to it. After 25 minutes of talking, he said, so Steve, what can I do for you? Now, I had thought of what I would say when I got up there. So I said, well, there's really nothing I want you to do for me. I said, I want to do something for you. And he said, President Trump said, you want to help me? I said, yeah. I said, if you've appointed Dr. Ben Carson, the head of HUD, and I would like to help him because I don't think he has the celebrity or the name notoriety to get to these inner cities. I've been in inner cities my whole life. I got the key to 32 cities. I've been in stand-up a long time. I said, I can help him with some of these urban situations because I'm from there. And I want to do something to help him. He said, so what do you want to do? I said, well, I have a mentoring program, but my mentoring program is restrictive because I can only do about 1,000 boys. And I can do them only one time a year in each city. I want to create vision centers around the country where I can take these schools that you're closing in the inner cities, take HUD funds, put it with them, and then go in and refurbish these schools and buildings and turn them into a place where boys and girls can come and learn life skills, and parents can come and learn financial skills, literacy skills to make it. And then eventually, I would like to build vision homes around it to help support these communities so we have wonderful communities. I want people who are less fortunate to have a better way of life. He said, I like that. Let me get Ben Carson on the phone right now. I kid you not. In 2 minutes, he had Ben Carson on the phone. He put Ben Carson on the phone, and he and I started talking, and I introduced the concept to him of vision homes right there in the office. He said it's a done deal. I've since then, well, the problem I had was after the meeting was over, I was supposed to go downstairs by myself and go on over to the rope and address the media. President Trump said, Steve, I'm going to go down with you. All right. We get off the elevator. We walk up to the rope. All the cameras is on. And first thing he said, what we're going to do first thing in this office is replace and repeal Obamacare. I'm standing there. I went, look at the tape. Go back and look at the tape and look at Steve's face. Because I'm going, there ain't shit we said upstairs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, that's not what we said upstairs. But I was stunned, and I'm sitting here going like I'm supporting this here. I ain't said nothing like that. So then when he walked off, I was standing there with Greg Calhoun, another frat brother, and Gerald Washington, Crump, what's up, man? That's my man right there. You a bad boy. Man, that's my man right there. I'm sorry, I'm a fan of his. Benjamin Crump, attorney. So I'm sitting here, and I walk up to the media, and I go, I'm just messed up because, man, it just looked like, and then next thing you know, all over social media, Steve supports Trump, repeal and replace Obamacare. We ain't never even talk about Obamacare, but that's what God said. And then after that, y'all did your boy. It wasn't white folk, it was y'all. Yeah, this is you. Now this wasn't a black. This was an internal. White folk don't even know what Uncle Tom Coon is. Y'all was doing this here. Oh, you was doing your boy. To hell with my track record. Damn what I done in the past. You ain't sugar honey iced tea right now. I cleaned that up, see how I did that. I didn't want to though. I wanted to go ahead and fire another one off, but I figured I had got too many in. You ain't sugar honey iced tea no more. Ooh, I don't like saying that. Black people took to social media, and boy, all my family had to close their accounts down because y'all was just lacing me. Not y'all per se. Most of y'all don't even, hardly any of you blog, but I'm just talking about us. And just went because I don't know why we love destroying each other. I don't know why we take such pleasure in when he gone. You know, I was talking to Kevin Hart the other day when he went through that whole thing about the girl. Kevin Hart said, man, it's amazing how they cheer for you on the way up because they love a success story. But then once you get there, their whole mission is to bring you down. And they was just on that social media just lacing me, man. Like I don't do nothing for black folk. Like I just ain't been black this whole time. The hell you gonna call me a Uncle Tom, a coon, and a sellout? I'm 60 years old. You know what I done seen? I seen what everybody in this room that's 60 done seen. I done felt what everybody in this room done felt. How they gonna call you Uncle Tom and a coon because you're at the top of the corporate ladder? Now some black person ain't got nothing wanna sit up and call you an Uncle Tom and a coon because you done betted yourself. Ain't that about la-di-da? You be wanting to go, man, I wish, you know, man, you be wanting to say something. But you know what though? You can't say nothing. Because my grandmama taught me something a long time ago. If you hang a sheet out on the line and you get some doo-doo on it, don't wipe it because you ain't going to do nothing but smear it. She say just wait till it dry. It'll fall right off. So when they kept on trying to, I just shut my mouth. I stayed quiet because I knew I had a purpose. Now, Brother Blue went with me to the first meeting with Dr. Ben Carson at HUD. We have started an initiative. The first one will open in Detroit because that's where Dr. Ben Carson is from. The vision centers have been okayed by the White House, all because I took a step and went up there and said it. I didn't even come up with the vision center concept till the night before. I just told God, I asked God, man, just tell me what to say when I get up there. Because what I'm supposed to say, I don't even know what to say. What do I say to Donald Trump? I told him when we were sitting there, I said, look, man, I ain't vote for you. And I say, I put my whole radio show behind trying not to get you elected. I said, but there was a mistake got made. I said, we was playing checkers and y'all was playing chess. So congratulations on your win. All that's working, young player, all that. Bam! Y'all ain't counting it like me. How you doing, man?
Fine.
How old are you?
11.
11. Yeah, where you go to school?
Scottsburg Elementary.
Okay, you got anything you want to say to any of your friends, Joseph?
I'd like to thank everybody for supporting me, and I'd like to thank McDonald's for sponsoring the Kids Talent Search. And I'd like to thank the Apollo for letting me express my dancing skills.
You like to say that last part?
I'd like to thank the Apollo for letting me express my dancing skills.
That's all right. Joseph, what you gonna do for us, man?
I'm gonna dance to Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson.
I know that's right. Y'all gonna do your thing. Show your love. Joseph Haskins. I was homeless, I told God every day, if you let me make it, when I get there, I'm going to tell everybody it was you. Well, guess what? I'm telling you that it was him. I have no education. I ain't got a degree of any kind. What you see today is a boy that come out the bottom who believed in him when it wasn't no sign of me getting over, who kept doing this thing that his mother taught him. She said, when it get dark for you and you can't find your way, and boy, I was lost. She said, don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. And don't ever be too proud to pray, because prayer changes things. You have got to pray.
What's wrong?
Daddy's going to do that.
What?
Daddy's going to do crack.
He what?
He's going to do a crack.
Are you serious? Daddy!
Once upon a time, I was a liberal. Well, to be honest, less than a year ago, I was still a liberal. I became a liberal because I felt I'd found a tribe whose values aligned with my own. I staunchly reject racism of any kind. I reject the marginalization of any human being based off of their gender or sexual orientation. I reject tyrannical groupthink. I reject a system which allows an ambitious, misinformed, and dogmatic mob to suppress free speech, create false narratives, and apathetically steamroll over the truth. I reject the acceptance of junk science and superstition to advance ideological agendas. I reject hate. These are the reasons why I became a liberal. And these are the same reasons why I am now walking away. For years now, I have watched as the left has devolved into intolerant, inflexible, illogical, hateful, misguided, ill-informed, un-American, hypocritical, menacing, callous, ignorant, narrow-minded, and at times, blatantly fascistic behavior and rhetoric. Liberalism has been co-opted and absorbed by the very characteristics it claims to fight against. For years now, I've watched as people on the left have become anesthetized to their own prejudices and bigotry, and the prejudices and bigotry of those around them who echo their values. I have watched as formerly sensible people who claim to reject racism have come to embrace the principles of universally hating and blaming all of society's problems on all people who have white skin. I have witnessed the irony of advocacy for gender equality morph into blatant hatred and intolerance of men and masculinity. I have seen the once earnest fight for equality for the LGBT community mutate into an illogical demonization of heteronormativity and the push to vilify and attack our conventional concepts of gender. These same self-proclaimed victims of intolerance now turning on the gay community that they attached themselves to advance their agenda, now calling gay people privileged and themselves victims of injustice. I have watched as the left has allowed themselves to become hypnotized by false narratives and conclusions perpetuated by social justice warriors who misrepresent and misconstrue facts, evidence, and events to confirm their own biases that everyone who does not comply with their prejudicial conclusions and follow their orders is a racist, a bigot, a Nazi, a white supremacist, homophobic, Islamophobic, xenophobic, misogynistic, and alt-right extremist. And I have watched as they have used these heartless and carelessly assigned labels to intimidate, threaten, bully, silence, attack, unemploy, blacklist, and destroy anybody who dares to fight back. They'll come for me, and then they'll come for you. And worst of all, the Democratic Party and the liberal media has embraced, affirmed, aided, and abetted this cult ideology. In an effort to gain voters and maintain power, the Democratic Party that I once loved has joined forces with the extremist left. The Democratic Party and the liberal media now believe their own ill-gotten conclusions and have ominously decided that they, and only they, know the remedy for society's ills. The left has decided that the solution to problems with race relations in America is more racism. The left believes that attacking, insulting, and dehumanizing one group of people elevates another. The left now believes that there are no boundaries when telling lies, omitting the truth, or misrepresenting facts when telling the news, because their end justifies their means. The left has now decided that its point of view is the only acceptable one, and that suppressing, censoring, and banning open dialogue and debate is virtuous and progressive. The Democratic Party has adopted a deleterious belief system happily and without skepticism, separating people into groups based off of identity and then organizing them into camps of victims and oppressors. If you are a person of color, an LGBT person, a woman, or an American immigrant, the Democratic Party wants you to know that you are a victim and destined to stay that way. They will insist that you are a victim doomed to exist within a system that is rigged against you, that you are a victim of systemic oppression, that you are a victim of your circumstances, and that no amount of hard work or motivational action will ever allow you to overcome your victimhood or the privilege of those around you. This is perhaps the Democratic Party's greatest and most insidious lie. But if you are a minority in America today, the left-wing politicians and the liberal media don't want you to ever discover this lie. So they bombard us with stories designed to reinforce the narrative that you are in danger, that you cannot succeed. They manipulate your fears and concerns by telling you that you're disadvantaged, disempowered, and disposable to everyone except them. They will tell you that you need them. They will tell you that you are only safe under their supervision. They will promise to liberate you from all that chains you. And then they will do absolutely nothing for you. Once upon a time, I was a liberal. But liberalism has changed, and I will no longer be a part of an ideology or political party that represents everything that contradicts my values of unity, equal opportunity, personal empowerment, compassion, and love. So I am walking away. And I encourage all of you to do the same. Walk away.
Racism doesn't exist. It's a made-up lie by the blacks, too.
Okay, well then how did they force us here as slaves if racism doesn't exist?
They didn't force us here.
How did we get on the boats?
We were sold by, well, I wasn't sold, but way back then, the blacks were sold by other blacks to the Arabs, and the Arabs transferred them across the world.
That's one way in which slavery happened. It's not the only way.
But it was a large number of black people, and I always knew that black people owned slaves
Yeah,
too.
black people did own slaves,
Yeah, but I don't hear the blacks complain about that at all.
Well, I mean, because we're talking about one or two black people here and
No.
there. It
No,
was
we're
not
not.
possible for the vast majority of black people
No,
to
that's
own
not
slaves.
true.
The vast majority of black people were slaves.
But
It
why
wasn't
don't
even
y'all
just white
complain
people.
about the black slave owners?
Because they were not the ones who owned the vast majority of black people.
So it has to be vast majority.
Don't get me wrong. If you're owning slaves, that's a problem no matter who you are. But
So why
a
don't
black
y'all
person might
complain
have had,
about
like,
that then? So you believe that Christianity is the white man's religion?
Well, who taught it to us?
What?
That's a religion that was given to us. That is a white man's religion that he said, this is our white God, and this is what you believe. So no, Jesse, I am not Christian, and I would, but my beautiful people, it's like y'all find it for yourself. And if finding it for yourself means, you know what, I got a husband, and my husband got 3 wives, and all of us are good with that, then everybody good.
What?
See, I've been able to travel the world, and I've seen where that Jesus is black, baby. We've been taught it's not about the color. Don't get caught up in that. Well, when did they start teaching us Christianity? Take me back to where we come from and tell me about Christianity.
Well, Christianity is a result of Judaism. Once you return to the Father, you see that it never had anything to do about color. It's of the Spirit. And in the Spirit, there is no color.
That's why I believe in love.
It's all love.
I don't think wealth and genetics have anything to do with each other, actually. If you're born in the U.S., it really doesn't matter the condition of your birth. What matters is what you inherit from your nurturing, from your environment, whether or not you're going, I'm just from the standpoint of having been born with little. You can always get out of that. Poverty is just...
But environment affects.
Yeah. Say you're born as one of the untouchables in India, there you are. And if you're born into the super rich, there you are. Here, you can be born to the super rich, but 3 or 4 generations down the line, it's gone. That's
Here's
in
a
this
stat.
country.
Here's a stat from your show, and it says that the richest 85 people on this planet have as much money as the poorest 3.5 billion.
Yeah, right. That's on the planet, however. You know, that's.
It's not far off in America.
No, it isn't far off in America, but we still here don't abandon the idea that it isn't finite.
Yeah.
It isn't finite. If you were born, where were you born?
Me?
Yeah.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Baton Rouge General Hospital.
Baton Rouge.
There you go.
Louisiana. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I had a long haul from where I came from to here, but here we are.
Right.
So the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and here we sit at the dining table.
But it's hard to, when you say that to some people, because they say, oh, there you go with a pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing, and you know, you're just being respectable. Not everybody can do that.
Well, everybody can. Everybody doesn't. Courage is the key to life itself. There are a lot of people who are born in situations where they say, well, I'll never get out of this. So they won't. I say to people who say, well, I would like to have done so and so and so. So, well, you could have done it. So, well, I couldn't get out of here. Man, the bus runs every day.
40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I've kept God in my life and has kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for wisdom. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. And anything you want, you can have. So claim it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Dr. Phil's audience is struggling with the truth that Jesse Lee Peterson is saying.
We need to restore the family. We need a smaller government. Government don't make anything work. We need to stop taking care of women who are having these babies out of wedlock. We need to stop taking care of these women who are coming from other countries. We need to stop taking care of their babies. We need to take care of American families first by getting them away from the government and restoring order. Okay. I grew up on a plantation in Alabama, a little hut house, bathroom outside. 6 brothers and 7 sisters. My family raised an amazing family. But what the difference was is that before you had babies, you got married. So you have the father and the mother in the home. And while the father was out earning a living, the mother was watching over his children. And so you were able to raise decent children. We didn't have government in our lives. And so we were able to do that. And in America, we were not allowed all these illegal aliens to come into our country. So our government were not taking care of folks from other parts of the world and the families in America. We took care of ourselves.
Looks like Joe Biden has stuck his foot all the way in his mouth.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
In an interview with The Breakfast Club co-host Charlemagne, the presidential hopeful made an egregious comment that has people questioning if he's worthy of their vote. Towards the end of the almost 20-minute interview, Charlemagne touched on an issue of great concern. Who will be Joe's running mate?
Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. They have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Charlemagne had a follow-up question, but got interrupted by someone off camera saying their time was up. The radio host instead invited Biden to come back, but Joe's response was off-putting.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The comment may have been directed just at Charlemagne, but it plays into the false notion that Democrats own the black vote and don't have to earn the black vote. Furthermore, a privileged white man does not get to dictate what is and isn't black. And unfortunately for Joe, Twitter is on a tirade, calling him entitled, an idiot, and wondering if he truly is the lesser of two evils. But what do you think? Is Biden the better choice over Trump? Let us know in the comment section below. For Hip Hollywood.
People that were talking about reparations in this country, they wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told them right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you. Somebody after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. There are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you. Those folks on the Edmund Pettus Bridge carrying American flags, take that, Colin Kaepernick, living in a society that he could scarcely acknowledge, something that he has never known, living with a bigotry that none of us can imagine. Carried American flags on that bridge, and when they were hit upside the head with nightsticks and shot with water hoses and knocked to the ground, they got up and picked those flags up and kept marching. And they did it for you.
A lot of you don't understand why Trump was so popular, but I get it because I hear it every day. He's very loved. And the reason he's loved is because people in Ohio have never seen somebody like him. He's what I call an honest liar. That first debate, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a white male billionaire screaming at the top of his lungs, "This whole system is rigged," he said. Across the stage was a white woman, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, sitting over there looking at him like, "No, it's not." I said, "Now, wait a minute, bro. It's what he said." And the moderator said, "Well, Mr. Trump, if in fact the system is rigged, what would be your evidence?" Remember what he said, bro? He said, "I know the system is rigged because I use it." I said, "God damn." And then Hillary Clinton tried to punch him in the taxes. She said, "This man doesn't pay his taxes." He shot right back. "That makes me smart." And then he said, "If you want me to pay my taxes, then change the tax code. But I know you won't, because your friends and your donors enjoy the same tax breaks that I do." And with that, my friends, the star was born.
If this man is so racist, why is he giving $100 billion to low-income communities? He's so racist. If he's so racist, why he's the president that reopened back funding for HBCUs?
So you're 100% for Trump?
150,000%.
Damn, all right, nigga.
Who would you be for, Obama? What did he do? I'll wait. You tell me one thing he did. Oh, but he's racist, but yet he signed into law the jail reform law that freed over 4,000 people, 97% were black. But he's racist, though. This is what racists do. If this is the new era of racism, I need that racism. I like it. I like it. If that's racist, let me get more of that. Facts.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox, and a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for a friend.
You guys, we are just here. Black Lives Matter. Woo! All Lives Matter. Woo! Yes, we are here to support our president, Donald John Trump.
We are not black. Remember that.
Okay.
We ain't black.
Joe Biden said we ain't black. If you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
So I guess I ain't black. Okay, so we want to see more minorities. We want to see more people of color, the left. We want to see, because we know that you are out there. Maybe you're afraid to step out and to show your support for America and for God and for Donald Trump and for country. But come on out. It's okay. Come on to the right side. Come on to the right side.
If you like high gas prices, If you like killing babies, if you don't know whether you're a man or woman, a child, like a unicorn, a frog, if you don't know what you are or anything like that, if giving all your hard-earned money to a different country is what you like, this ain't the party for you.
And guess what? If you keep voting left, you'll have nothing left.
Hello.
And former President Barack Obama has opened a can of worms after he lectured black men to vote for Kamala Harris while speaking in Pennsylvania last week. America's first black president had some frank discussions with young black voters who could play a crucial role in this year's election. Asking black men to accept the entry of women, particularly women of color, in corridors of power, Barack Obama's words managed to touch a raw nerve. Though most black men agreed to President Obama's sentiments, some made some rather strong objections. Our next report brings you more.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama has found himself on the wrong side of American voters, particularly black men. Last week, the 44th President of America gave a blistering performance in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Speaking in the swing state, Obama called on men and black men to vote for Kamala Harris.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and for our sons, and that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America.
And that wasn't it. As Barack Obama continued to open a bigger can of worms after addressing the crowds from the podium, he spoke to a group of black men separately.
How are you?
He urged them to embrace women in power and pick Kamala Harris as their next president.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind. Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that.
But the lecturing didn't stop there. As Barack Obama put on a stern fatherly act, he asked black men to learn from black women, whom the former president claims are against Donald Trump.
Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you? That's not acceptable.
Anybody that can say that they living better now than they was 4 years ago, I mean, I'll be happy to hear, how you're living better. I kind of respected Obama in a sense because I voted for him twice. But then for him to come out and say that, it was very disturbing. I did it because it felt good, it felt right, because he was, an African American, and for me listening to his stories about how he came up and how he was in Chicago and how he was helping the community, I really, really fell for it, to come to find out that a lot of the things that he was saying was lies.
Well, one of the reasons I think that it's important to vote for Trump is because I'm dissatisfied with our borders. I believe that those need to be secure and actually taken care of. And also, one of the other issues that I take part of, I'm part of the LGBT, that community. We have to make a line of demarcation when it comes to this whole trans ideology, when they're trying to go in and push this on kids, and also having drag queens and all these other people kind of read to little kids and those types of things. I have nieces and nephews, and I don't think that's a cool thing. When I was coming up, we didn't have that. You have to take your bumps and bruises, and you have to figure that out on your own, and it kind of helps you, makes you into a better person.
Yeah, I think everything comes down to my Christianity beliefs. I stand by that, pretty strongly, and I just believe that every policy that Trump is pushing is something that I hold true to from a value as well as a moral standpoint. I will say that I did vote for Obama, but I didn't believe that I received, or I believe that our culture received everything that we should have received while Obama was in office. And I just believe that I resonate more with the Trump policies than I do on the Democrat side. I've been Democrat my entire life. Families voted Democrat. I probably have been the only family member that decided to step aside and vote for the Republican Party because I believe their values are more in line with my culture as well as my family culture and values.
Okay. Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's start with the many accents of chameleon Kamala. She can go from Ivy League to the ghetto.
So friends, 64 days. Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
She's even pulled out a little Latino heat in recent weeks, but I believe this may be the first time she's tried a Jamaican accent.
Have empathy, man.
Yes.
For the suffering of other people. Have no sense of purpose.
She's so authentic, so likable and confident. Of course, I jest. Now, Kamala has a man problem, and it's not just Doug knock him out, Emhoff. No, he's not the only one causing her headaches. But the fact that so many American men, including black men, do not want to vote for her. Now, the reasons are numerous. They're real and valid reasons. But of course, the simplistic take is that these men must be sexist. Here is Barack Obama lecturing the brothers, as he calls them, on why they must back Kamala.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
He then went on to lecture them about why they must pick Kamala and why any reluctance must be due to what sexist, misogynist monsters they are.
You just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Now, that little rant inspired some feedback from members of the black community, male and female.
I want Barack Obama and every Democrat out there to know, you do not own black people. We are not slaves. Our chains are gone. We do not owe you anything, and we don't have to give you an account for how we choose to vote.
The Democrats then unleashed Barack Obama into the wild to shame us black men for not supporting Kamala Harris, despite the fact that she's yet to unveil any policies that represent our interests. But if it was a white politician shaming other white men for not voting based on identity politics, y'all will call him racist. Why is it okay for Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and all these other people that supposedly look like me, why is it okay for them to get on TV and shame me for not voting for them simply because they look like me? That is racist, brother. I don't know how else to put it. That is racism. I don't have to vote for Kamala because she's quote unquote black. Just like I shouldn't have voted for yo because you got up there, you tap dance for the establishment, and you ain't do a goddamn for the black people that put you in office. You, brother.
You ain't did a thing for us in the 8 years that you was in the White House. And you think you gonna pop up during an election year and try to scold black men for not wanting to vote for your candidate? Have you lost mind?
I spent 7 years of my life fighting your administration, you and Biden, by the way, for my husband's military benefits. My daughter died because of Obamacare. I don't give a about you.
This message is for President Obama. First and foremost, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Number one, I ain't going to vote for Kamala Harris. I think that she's going to make a bad president. She's a bad vice president. Everything she does, she tries to politicize it, and she hasn't shown the fact that she wants to put America first ever. So I'm not voting for that individual.
What you thought you was doing, Barack Obama? Boy, you done stepped out there. All you did was black men off, bruh. All you did was black men off. Why y'all think the American people why y'all think the Democrat Party own black folk? The Democrat Party don't own black folks, bruh. What you thought you was doing with that? We see the play. We know, we see the play. Kamala Harris is losing. She's not going to win.
The audacity of you to say to us that we are required and we better vote for Kamala Harris and that we don't want to see a woman in a position of power. You're a liar.
That's just a sample, folks. Plenty more where that came from. Now let's check in with the man who Kamala Harris handpicked as her running mate, Tim Walz. Here, Tim tries to reload a gun. This is the man they picked to inject masculinity and country vibes into the campaign. They set up this contrived hunt to showcase that masculinity and gun prowess. It's not working out too well there. That is just appalling.
Game over for Shifty Shift and Letitia James and Alvin Bragg and Fannie Willis. It could very well be game over if Donald Trump is successful. I mean, this woman, she made it really, really clear that she was running on one thing. Remember her?
I've taken on powerful interests like developers. I've taken on legislators. I've taken on landlords. I've taken on powerful interest in the city of New York because I believe in a good fight. And right now, what we need is someone who understands that you should not be afraid, not be fearful of Donald Trump. We should take him down. We should sue him all the way to bankruptcy. We should investigate his business interests. We should investigate his business holdings. We should investigate whether or not why he was once in debt and now in a position to purchase all of this property. We can do that because I've been trained to do that, and I will do that at the same time knowing the Office of Attorney General and its powers and its responsibilities and its duties. My name is Letitia James, and I plan on being the next Attorney General of the state of New York. God bless you and thank you.
My gosh. Wow. I mean, putting it all out there. Telling us exactly what her plan was. And now it's about to get reversed. It's about to get reversed, and I think a few other things are about to get reversed. I mean, you look at the news today, for example, Nathan Wade. It turns out, he was having all these meetings with the White House. That has now come out, despite the fact that Merrick Garland tried to avoid that question when he was asked about a year ago by Matt Gaetz about that very thing. Somehow it's a conspiracy to think that, they might all just actually be working together in a form of collusion with the federal government. Donald Trump was asked about this because there's this sense of you got to go back after them, right? This thing with Letitia James is gonna get thrown out of court, and here's how I know. Just watch the tape. Humor me. Here she is, her stand-in, Judith Vale, trying to argue this case before the appellate judge of the New York Court of Appeals, and they're laughing her out of court.
It was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
Okay, so it doesn't make much sense, only because in this case she's trying to argue that somehow there's a big public market that he was influencing, as opposed to it being a private transaction between an individual and his bank. And by the way, the bank itself, that would be Deutsche Bank, got paid back in full with interest, so everybody was happy. So there's no victim. And like normally in these crimes, you kind of have victims, something that nearly got her laughed out of court within the first 5 minutes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transaction or losses from it. Because I've gone through the cases which you've cited, and all of them always involved the consumer protection aspect. It involved protection of the market.
Several responses.
And I want to add to his question, and little to no impact on the public marketplace.
Can you talk specifically about what Donald Trump would do policy-wise in a second term to help Black Americans?
Sure, and thank you for that question. What Donald Trump is going to do is going to be actually quite similar to what he did in his first term. When you lower tax rates, when you cut these reckless and crazy policies that are now in the Kamala Harris administration, and you cut those regulations down, what it does is it frees up the ability for businesses to thrive, for people to be able to earn more money, for them to be able to keep more money in their pockets. All of his economic policies actually have a stabilizing effect on prices, and they grow our economy. You couple that with his energy policies. He calls it drill, baby, drill, but what it is being energy dominant in the United States of America. That also allows for us to put a cap on these massive price increases under the Kamala Harris administration. What that means in particular for Black families is that you have an ability to earn more money, keep more money, wages actually growing when you adjust them for inflation. And then the big stat, and this happened during the first Trump administration, nobody likes to talk about it. I heard Senator Warnock mention it. Wages adjusted for inflation were massively up under Donald Trump for Black men, for Black families, but for all Americans. The wage gap that Democrats love to lecture about, the wage gap in 2019 was actually shrinking under Donald Trump's administration, his economic policies, his energy policies, and his regulatory policies.
Can I just go back to the tax?
So that's the agenda that Black men are looking at.
Okay.
I just have to say that I object strenuously to your use of the word hilarious. To me, this feels a lot like your reaction to being named in one of these manifestos. Now, you're of course not responsible for the words of somebody writing that document, but I do think that laughing at it is a real problem, because these are real families that are impacted by this violence. And I think our efforts towards talking about this have to start from a place of mutual respect, which is what I've heard from this side of the table. Now, the reason we don't have those numbers, I want those numbers as much as you do, but to say the numbers don't show something is simply not supported by the data.
Respond however you
yield for a second?
I'll yield.
Thank you. I believe, Ms. Owens, when you used the word hilarious, it was referencing the fact that no one had asked you a question. It wasn't to the subject matter of the hearing. Is that right?
That is correct.
And to have another witness insinuate something that is not accurate is just not appropriate, Mr. Chairman, for how witnesses are supposed to behave in front of this committee. I also think you didn't say it doesn't matter about the subject matter of today's hearing. You said there are other subjects that matter as well, and maybe we should spend some time on those. Is that accurate?
That is correct, and they matter much, 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 much more. And I've said that. I said that in my opening, and I will say it again. You know that white supremacy and white nationalism ranks nowhere near the top of the issues that are facing Black America. And the reason that you are bringing them up in this room is because it is an attempt to make the election all about race, as the Democrats
Not in my case, Ms. Owens. I'm sorry. Please do not characterize my motive.
Mr. Chairman, it's my time.
Yeah, it's my time. You've got your time, Mr. Menendez. I'll give you 3 more seconds.
Every 4 years, you bring up race, and you knew exactly what I meant when I said hilarious, and you just tried to do live what the media does
all the time to Republicans, to our president, and to conservatives, which is you tried to manipulate what I said to fit your narrative, okay? I was not referring to the subject matter that is hilarious. I said it's hilarious that we are sitting in this room today and I've got 2 doctors and a missus and nobody can give us real numbers that we can respond to so we can assess how big of a threat this is. Because you know that it is not as big of a threat as you are trying to make it out to be so that you can manipulate. And the audacity of you to bring up the Christchurch shooting manifesto and make it seem as if I laughed at people that were slaughtered by a homicidal maniac is, in my opinion, absolutely despicable. And I think that we should be above that. To try to assign reality or any meaning to a homicidal maniac writing a manifesto, which, by the way, let the record show, also stated Spyro the Dragon, the child's cartoon, as a source of inspiration. He also cited Nelson Mandela as a source of information. I don't think that Nelson Mandela has inspired mosque shootings. You can correct me if you think I'm wrong. You would rather assign meaning to a homicidal maniac than to actually address the things that I said today that are actually harming Black America. Number 1, father absence. Number 2, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high, abortion ranks high, white supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce, and it is ironic that you're sitting here and you're having 3 Caucasian people testify and tell you what their expertise are. Do I know what my expertise are? Black in America. I've been Black in America my whole life, all 30 years, and I can tell you that you guys have done the exact same thing every 4 years ahead of an election cycle, and it needs to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In congressional hearings, the minority party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her. I'm going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry. We just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Liu believes that Black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that Black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
You have seen You have seen how a man was made a slave. That sentence is the first half of a Frederick Douglass quote. I like it because it rings true now. I have seen how a man was made a slave. I have seen how Black Americans have been enslaved to the debate of race, how liberals, how leftists, how Democrats continue to enchain us to this inconsequential debate while robbing us blindly of our family, our faith, and our future through their abhorrent policies. You have seen how a man was made a slave. Then he continues the quotation. And now you shall see how a slave was made a man. To the veterans, and so I say to the veterans of this Black ideological civil war, those of us that have survived the constant onslaught and the media thrashings and fight daily to awaken our brothers and sisters, to the patriots who have fought beside us, cheered us on, to my supporters, those of you that have seen me to this point, from just a girl on YouTube with a different idea to the very soon to be published author of the aptly entitled book, Blackout, How Black America Will Make Its Second Escape from the Democrat Plantations. To all of you in this room, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for experiencing this journey with me, but most importantly, for seeing how this former slave to poisonous liberal ideology was made a woman, was made a patriot, was made an American. May God bless you all.
And I went from being shoved next to a cliff on a hike, being called racist, people spit on me. I mean, like, it was insane because I had a MAGA hat on. I mean, people would just walk up to me and be like, I hope you fucking kill yourself. The reason why I'm so hopeful is like, I'm in it. I see it. I feel it. When I blew up online, every actor, celebrity, every single one was in my DMs. They're like, oh, we love Trump. We just can't lose our careers and businesses. They were like, we can't even follow you online. And now, when I wear my MAGA hats out, it is nothing but compliments and love everywhere I go. And that's how I said there was going to be a red wave on Fox News. I was told I'm an idiot. I can feel and I can see 24/7 there is a red wave and it's